I don't think I'll ever let you in. Easier to break it off best friends. I don't really understand myself. I don't really understand, need help. I don't wanna be left on the shelf. Couldn't even hear me if I yelled. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold. Let the doubt creep in. Gotta pop a couple more aspirin. I don't think I'll ever let you in. Easier to break it off best friends. I don't really understand myself. I don't really understand, need help. I don't wanna be left on the shelf. Couldn't even hear me if I yelled. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold. Let the doubt creep in. Gotta pop a couple more aspirin. I don't think I'll ever let you in. Easier to break it off best friends. I don't really understand myself. I don't really understand, need help. I don't wanna be left on the shelf. Couldn't even hear me if I yelled. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold.
So, hello everyone. Hope I'm audible to everyone. So, let's see if I'm audible or not. Anyone, please respond to this. Am I audible or not? Okay. So great. So let's begin with this. Hello everyone. I'm Sayam Arora and I'm AWS Cloud Club captain and lead of AWS Cloud community at LPU. And on behalf of whole community, I welcome you all to this workshop, amazing workshop that we will be having today. And I hope that you will love this workshop and have a great learning out of it. So let's begin with. So I'll be introducing the speaker, our worthy speaker. He's the AWS community builder also of LPU1, and he is very profound in his designation. He's DevSecOps as is his designation. So he will be joining and he will be conducting this workshop, which is about IAM and security practices. So would be love to join Bhaiya, and he'll be joining in few minutes. So Rajat Bhaiya, I'll be adding you on the stage. The stage is all yours.
Hello everyone. My name is Rajit and I'm currently working as a DevSecOps engineer in Isha Foundation. So I'm also an AWS community builder and uh, we'll be covering the topics like IAM and we'll deep dive into what is an IAM user, what is a IAM policy, what are the IAM rules. Uh, So these are kind of like the basics we would start with. Uh, could you please onboard that topic list again? Sam, could you please onboard that topic list, please? I've shared my screen. Could you please onboard that? Yeah, thank you. So yeah, as I said, we'll be covering AWS IAM, understanding authentication and authorization, and we'll deep dive into IAM users, roles, and policies. Also, we'll see how to integrate IAM roles with EC2 and access S3. And also, in the end, we'll cover how you can use IAM, Azure roles, and AWS SDS to have cross-account access. Not only in your account, you can access resources. Using this, you can access resources in other accounts as well. So you'd be taking a look at that. So without further ado, let's get started. I hope everybody is ready with their AWS account. They have signed in, and could you please give a thumbs up to the team so that they can then we can start it. Thank you. Are we good to go? Great. Sam, could you please onboard and onboard the screen and let me know? It's, I think, yeah. Sorry for this. Yeah. Please onboard the screen. Thank you. So AWS IAM, it's identity and access management for AWS. So um, any kind of authentication to AWS happens through IAM, also as well as authorization to your AWS account happens through IAM. So you can say managing all the identities and managing all the accesses. What in terms of identities do I mean? It can be users, it can be any other resource. So to manage all those, we use IAM, AWS IAM. And what is authentication and what is authorization? So authentication is when you want somebody to have access, for example, your account. If you want somebody to have access to your account, so we'll look into how you can provide access. What are the various ways of that? So for example, I create a user. So by creating a user, I am providing somebody the authentication to my account. Now I provide a user, but I don't provide any kind of permission to that user. Then even if the person is authenticated to access my account, he or she will not be able to operate anything on my account because I did not provide them the access. So that is known as authorization. So authorization is providing access to the resources in your account. So it's like you have a building, say for example, a hotel, you get into the hotel through the main gate, that is authentication, but you don't have the keys to any of the rooms. That is authorization. Even if you enter the hotel, you'll not be able to access any of the rooms because you're not authorized. So in this scenario, the user is kind of the authentication, but if the user does not have any permission, then that he or she is not authorized to perform on any of the resources in this account, for example, here. So first we'll start with creating a user. So this is the IAM. We start with the home screen um, for your AWS account. You can search IAM. Once you're here, uh, you'll get some like we can cover this right now itself here. There are some security recommendations you'll get. See, I have both of this ticked that I have an user that has an MFA enabled, which is very important. Please enable MFA for your account, your personal account, the one that you're using an authenticator, and have to like multi-factor authentication because it will help secure your account. So this is the security recommendations you can follow. Then you can do not have any active access keys. Do not have any access keys for your root user. Your root user is just one time for setting up your account. Do not use do not have access keys for the root user. Do not distribute it. So these recommendations will help you keep your account in shape in terms of security. So we'll start by creating a user. For that, we'll go to the user section, create user. So I've provided a username. Now, this is an optional checkbox. It says that provide user access to the AWS management console. So if you want somebody to access the management console, you tick this. And if you are using some kind of single sign-on, which is known as IAM Identity Center, you can select that. Sorry, you can select that, or else you just say that I want to create an IAM user. And you can auto-generate a password, or you can have your own custom password. These are the two options. So I'll go with auto-generated password. And another checkbox is users must create a new password at next sign in, which means that, for example, you are supposed to share this user with maybe your friend or maybe your colleague. So you can create the password using auto-generated password, and then you can share the credentials to them. But once they log in using that password that you have shared with them, they need to have their own password. Means they need to change the password once they sign in. So this is a very useful feature. You should enable this whenever you are sharing credentials to someone, so that they have the unique credentials. So you can see here three options. One is add user to group, one is copy permissions, and one is attach policies directly. So I'll explain three of them. So starting with the add user to group, what does that mean is, for example, I am in a group of developers, okay, and I want to provide access to, say, for example, 5 developers in my group, and each of them needs to have the same access to this account. So instead of attaching 5 individual permissions to the 5 individual users, what I can do is I can create a group. I can attach permission to that group. I can just onboard those users onto that group. So that is more easier in terms of you do not have to manage permissions for each users individually. You can manage permission for the whole group, and you can just attach users to the group. So we'll take a look at that as well. Copy permission is if you have any other user uh, and you want to copy that same permission from that user to this one, you can use the copy permissions. So it will copy all the, for example, in a group, you were to replicate that, or you have some inline policies from an existing users that you want to replicate to this current users, you can use the copy permissions. So for now, we don't have, we don't need to replicate anything. We're just creating a fresh user. So I'll go with attach policies directly. I want to have my own set of policies and permissions. So all these policies that you see here, these are all AWS managed policies. So you can see the type. It says that it is an AWS managed policies. So you can filter by the types of the policies. So there are 2 types mainly, but it is subdivided into 2. The AWS managed is subdivided into 2, but you can consider it as 2 types, which is like customer managed and AWS managed. So AWS managed policies are the ones that you can see like this orange kind of like in box. And basically what does that mean is all those iterations or all those updates on the policies will be maintained by AWS, and you don't have to manage that policy. So it is fully managed by AWS. So you can onboard any of these permissions, and that's it. You don't need to manage the policy. But customer managed policies are the ones that you need to manage, that you need to create by yourself. And any iterations over those policies needs to be done by you. So these are the 2 types. One is AWS managed, which is fully managed by AWS, and another is customer managed, which you have to create and you have to manage by yourself. So for now, we'll be going with AWS managed policies as well. AWS managed policy, and we'll be going with a read-only policy. So what does read-only access provide? Read-only access will uh, provide you with an over-the-account read access. Say, for example, it can be resource-specific read-only access as well. You can say Amazon EC2 read-only access, or it can be a S3 read-only access. So that means I have access to only S3. I don't have access to anything else. And that too, I have only read-only access to S3. Or you can have overall read-only access. So different levels of access. One is a service-based access. Another is an account-based access. So we can attach the Amazon EC2 read-only access. The Amazon EC2 full access, as you can see, this policy. If we select that, and if we enlarge this, you can see it allows all the access on EC2. So we'll go into this how to create the inline policies and all. We'll see that, but Full access means this wildcard or star means any kind of action that you want to perform in EC2, you can perform, and the effect is allow means it allows us to perform any kind of action on EC2. And resource is whichever resource or whichever instance or whichever resource you have on the EC2 service, it provides access to all the resources. So this is full access. Now, if we enlarge read only, you can see that it has very specific uh, that it is only described. It is not EC2 star. It is EC2 describe star means it will only allow you a certain level of action on the EC2 service and enough actions for you to have read only actions on the EC2 service, not more than that. So we'll go ahead with EC2 read only access. And you can see additional this IAM user change password is attached to this user because we checked the checkbox was the user needs to create a new sign-in password upon the next sign-in. So for which he or she will require this privilege, which is the IAM user change password, to change their password. So this is inbuilt provided while creating the user with that checkbox ticked. So we'll create the user. So there are a few things you can see here. One is you're getting the console sign-in URL. You're getting the username. You're getting a console password. There is an option to email the sign-in instruction to someone. So for example, you want to email it with all the, sign-in URL, username and password. It will email it to specific person that you want to email it to. Or you can download a CSV file and you can get the credentials and you will have the CSV file for yourself or you can share it. So this is it. We'll return to the user list now and we'll go and inside and see like what other things are possible with this user. So you can see the permissions in the permissions tab that we have provided. There is also a tab called groups. So now the user does not belong to any group. So we can have a group. As I mentioned, like for developers who want to onboard, say for example, for a project, and I want to have kind of specific access for those developers. Say for example, the developers needs access to S3 bucket. So I can create a S3 access dev group and I can provide S3 read-only access. And I can create this user group. I'll jump on back to the user section and I'll add user. And now once I see, I see the group that I created just now with the S3 access. Now I can add that user to this group. Now once I have added this user, if I go back to the permission section, you will see there are 3 permissions now. 2 that we already had while we created the user and another permission came from the group itself. So how is it helpful? Now if I want to create another user and have some specific permissions for that user, I can provide that permission. Say for example, that user just needs access to CloudWatch. I can provide that access, CloudWatch access, but I don't need to add the S3 read-only access. I can just add the user to the group and it will have the permissions attached. Also, if I have another set of users that does not need anything besides the S3 access, so I can just create a user. I can create a new user. This time I don't want to provide the user to management console access, so I will not take the checkbox. I directly attach the user to this group and I create the user. So I did not provide any kind of permission. It already has the S3 read-only access from the group itself. So if I want to create multiple users, I can add those users into this dev group and I can define some policies into the group itself so that I don't need to attach the policies individually to the users. So going back to the previous users that we created, there is a tab called tags, which is tagging the user with some more information, which is metadata information. We can add some tags like this user is for a demo purpose. And we can switch to the security credentials tab, and we can see the user that we created uh, does not have console password enabled. So we can manage and change that access console password, and we can either reset the password with an auto-generated password or we can set a custom password. So for console sign-in, we have the ability to provide a password to the user so that the user can access the console. Now, if I want to access or use this user, say for example, script, you have some Python script, SDK script, and you want to use this user. Uh, so there are other ways also, but one way is you can use uh, private access keys, access keys. So these access keys you can use with AWS CLI, SDK, or directly AWS API calls. So I can create an access key. I have to mention what kind of use case I have. If I want to access, for example, from the CLI, I can just select the command line interface, and AWS provides some recommendation that you can use Cloud Shell or you can use the CLI version 2 and enable authentication through IAM Identity Center. So I can just I can create a user. Uh, for now, we'll go ahead with just creating the user. Sorry, the access key. And here also you get an option to download the CSV file. So you can share this access key with somebody, or you can use this into your scripts. So these are kind of the ways. There are other ways of also using this user, but access keys and console access the primary two ways of using an IAM user. Okay. Any questions till now? You can please ask. Okay. So we'll continue. So let's move to policies. So as you can see, we can create users, and there are two types of policies as we discussed, AWS managed and customer managed. Now, we create a policy from scratch and we'll see what are the ways we can create a policy. So AWS provides a policy editor where we can select a service of our choice. So I'll select EC2 and we can select the actions. You can select whichever actions is appropriate for the policy that you're creating. So if I am just creating a read-only policy, I search something related to describe and so for example, I want to uh, get the instance IDs. So I can just search instance. So you can find something related to the instance, like instance attributes. So I want to find the instance types, so I can describe those. If I want to describe the instance as a whole, for example, where we'll get the instance ID as well. So you can select that as well. So you can, as per your criteria, you select these options, and this is just for read-only purposes. So describe is sufficient. We don't need to provide any write access. But if I have to have some access, for example, I want to stop the instance, I want to start the instance, this come under the write access. So I can select those as well. So once you select them in the, so you can see one thing when I selected the run instance, the AWS gave me, you can say kind of a warning where it says that the run instance requires three more actions. So it has three more actions, which is the create tags, the IAM pass role, and the SSM get parameters. So for run instance to be properly working, we need these three as well. So the console itself is very helpful in finding out the dependent actions and how we can enable them properly. So we'll disable run instance for now. Next we come to the resources section. So resources, we can specify all, which means any EC2 instance running, uh, I have access to all of them. Or you can specify and provide a EC2 ARN. So I have one instance running. I can provide the ARN for this instance. So if I click on add ARN, so I go to the instance. I can select any in this account, which means that any EC2 instance in this account I have access to. Or else if I want to provide a specific EC2 instance, I select add ARN. I select the region. So my instance is in the Mumbai region. So I select AP South 1 and the resource instance, I provide the name of the instance. So I can select the name of the instance and I can provide the name of the instance. So can add, and with this, we'll have access to only this particular EC2 instance. Now we provide a policy name, and we have a policy which has access to EC2 for a particular instance. So we can revisit this policy and we can get a JSON output stating what are the permissions we have. And we can also visit the other parameters like policy versions. If you create multiple policies, it is all created in a version format. So I can see like what was the policy, previous policy, and what is the current policy that I'm using. So if I happen to change this policy, edit it, and I can add some other action on this policy. For example, I want to describe the addresses, which is the IP addresses of the EC2 instance. So I can set this new version as the default, which I will do. So it will create two versions of the same policy. The one that we previously created and the one that we created right now. So if you have some issue, you can revert back the old policy and you can set as default. So you will see that even though we provided the describe address action, we reverted back and we don't have that here. So you can maintain 5 policies or 5 versions of the same policies rather for a particular policy. So users and policies. Any questions on that? Okay, we can continue. So we use users and we use policies for individuals or for entities. I would say which are like physical entities. But if you want your AWS resource for example, EC2, and you want to access another resource or service from EC2, for example. So we can take the help of roles. So AWS roles has the capability to provide access to the resources or to accounts uh, with the access to access some resources in your account. So in the starting, when we create a role, we need to define a trusted entity type. So it can be an AWS service. For example, it can be an EC2 instance in this case, or it can be an AWS account, which we'll see later how to use it for another account, and we can use access. We can have access to another AWS account, and there are multiple others, but we can start with AWS service, and we attach that EC2. Uh, we are using EC2 service as the trusted entity for this role. Now we come to the permission stage. As we know, like there are two types of permissions: AWS managed and customer managed. So I can select the permission based on my requirement. I'll name the role and you can create it. So this is the trusted identity. You can see EC2 as we provided EC2 as the trusted identity, and I've provided the Amazon S3 read-only access. So I created the role. You can check the role. So there is permissions, there is trust relationships. Uh, so we can go ahead and attach it to this EC2 instance that I have created. So I can modify the IAM role and I can attach this role. So now my EC2 instance has access to S3 buckets in my account. So I'll share my terminal just a moment. Sir, could you please onboard this? Thank you. So, so I don't have an AWS CLI install, so I can just install it using this. Just yeah, you can use the official documentation as well to install the AWS CLI. We have the AWS CLI installed. So I can check what is the rule that is attached. Don't worry about this command. So you can check. I want the get caller identity. So you can see the role that I created previously is now attached to my EC2 instance. And that role has S3 access enabled. So I can use this instance now to communicate with the S3 service on my account. So you can see a bucket. So cross verify, I can go to my account and verify the same, that if the bucket exists. Yeah, so you can see the same bucket. So any questions on how we spoke about roles, users, policies? If you have any questions, please let me know. So in a role, there are two ways we can attach policies. One is attaching policy, and other is creating an inline policy. So the difference between a policy and an inline policy is a policy is uh, specific to this role. Sorry, a policy is general. So in that sense, is the policy that we are using here can be used in other roles as well, or can be present in other roles as well. Now, if I want to create some specific policy which is just for this role, I can create an inline policy. Inline policy helps me to create unique roles, unique policies for each roles. So I am providing random actions because you are clear. I hope you're clear with the actions as of now that which actions you need to select. So I'll provide some random actions just to create this policy. So the type would be a customer inline, which means that this policy is an inline policy and it is only available to this role. Now, if I want to search this policy, which is the Amazon S3 read-only access, if I go to policies and I search this, I'll get the policy named Amazon S3 read-only access. Now, the inline policy that I created, if I go and if I search this, I won't. Why? Because this policy is unique to this particular role, and it is not available for other roles to use. So that is why it is known as an inline policy. All right. So, uh, any questions? If you have, uh, I think we can proceed with the cross account access. Sayam, is there any questions that we have now? So EC2, so the question is what is EC2 and how it is related to IAM? So EC2 is the compute offering of AWS. Uh, it is known as Elastic Compute Cloud, and you can think of it as uh, virtual servers that is provided by AWS for you to use. So that is a compute offering. IAM is the identity and access management. As I said, it is for you to manage the users, the policies, the roles, the access to your account, the authorization to your account. So one is compute offering, and you can consider IAM as a security offering of AWS. Nice to know, Samuel. That all's good. So Anuj is asking, how do I structure my IAM users and groups? Um, so it depends on what use case do you have. As I said, as an example that I have say if I have 5 developers in my company or in my project, I have 5 developers. So, and each developer has the same, I need to provide them initially with the same access initially in the starting of the project, that everybody needs access to EC2 instances and everybody needs access to S3 buckets. So I can create a group, as I showed, I can create a group and you can assign these privileges to the group and you can just onboard those users to that group initially. So you'll have a group with EC2 and S3 bucket permissions, and you can assign those, you create the users and assign them to those groups. Now, going forward, some of your users may need individual access to, for example, some other service of AWS, maybe security, a security service of AWS, such as CloudTrail, or you need access to monitoring service such as CloudWatch. Now you can provide individual access to those users. As I said, you can go inside, the IAM console. You can go inside, access the user section, access your user in the permission section. You can assign the policies, either the CloudTrail policy or the CloudWatch policies, individually to those users. So it depends on what use case you have, and accordingly you can define the users and policies for your account. All right. Uh, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Then, if you have any questions, you can just share it on the YouTube chat. So I'll address it. So our next demo would be uh, how to access resources in a different account. Now, we saw how to access resources but in my own account. I can access, say, for example, an S3 bucket uh, from my EC2 instances that I have. But if I have that S3 bucket in a different account itself, so what would be the procedure of accessing that account? So it might be a little advanced, but I try to explain a very simple way. But you can just think of we are broadening the access from one account to another, and I'll show you the process on how you can do that. Okay, so so to start, we can consider that I have two accounts. One is my source account, and another is my destination account. So in my source account, uh, I have an EC2 instance, And in my destination account, I have an S3 bucket. So now I have I'm on the currently on the destination account. So in the destination account, I have an S3 bucket. So I have a demo bucket. I can create another S3 bucket. You can leave all the things as default. Now we created one S3 bucket in this destination account. Next, I need a role to access that S3 bucket. Now I'll be uh, creating this role, keeping in mind that I want to access it from another account. So in the trusted entity, we will select AWS account and we'll select another AWS account that I want to access this role from. I'll provide the account ID of my source account. You can add a permission. So I'll leave it blank as of now. And I'll add the permission later. So I have this role and I have this S3 bucket that I created. Okay. So now I need to add a permission. So I already have a policy which I have assigned it to this demo role. You can just copy this JSON. So it's a very simple policy, which is just providing S3 get object and S3 put object action on this bucket. So I want to change the name of the bucket. I'll copy the S3 ARN and I'll update this ARN. So this is the inline policy with the get object and put object, which means that I can either download or I can upload from this S3 bucket that I have created. I create the policy. So this is the destination account. I have created this S3 bucket, as I said, and I've created a role and the permission with upload and download action from that S3 bucket. Now, the one important thing, as I said, I selected the entity type as the source account. So this is the account ID of the source account. I selected the entity as. So these are the current three things which are present in my destination account. Now we'll set up the source account. Just a moment, actually. I want to share my screen. Sam, could you please onboard this? Thank you. So this is the source account. So in the source account, what we need an IAM role. So we'll create one role, and I want this role to be accessed from the EC2 instances in my source account. So I will select EC2 as the trusted identity. The permission policies will come to this later. We'll now go ahead and create this role. So I'll attach an inline policy to this role with the access of assuming the role in the destination account. So this is the source account. So granting a user permission to switch roles, we can copy this snippet of the assume role, STS assume role, and we will use this. So I'll update the ARN with the ARN of the destination account role. So the destination account, the role that I created, I'll update it with the ARN of that role. So this is my source account, and this is the role in the source account that I created. And I want to assume the role in the destination account. That is why I provided the ARN of the destination account role. Now, what does the destination account role contains? It contains the access to the S3 bucket in the destination account. So I hope this is clear. If any uh, question till now. Does creating S3 bucket charge anything on account? It does S3 bucket more so rather if you put some objects into S3 bucket, you'll be charged for storage. I don't think just creating a bucket will charge you. If you store something on that bucket, it'll be charged. So for any charges related queries, you can go to the S3 pricing for any service. You can visit this, and you can see. So for every service, almost 90% of the services is a free tire offer. So you can see that 12 months you'll get free. So in that free tire, it includes 5 GB of stand in the S3 standard storage class. So I think for this demo, this is more than enough. If you have a free tire account, you can use it, and you can also use the EC2 instance in a T3A micro, T2A micro, or T2 micro. So that is also included in the free tire. So if you visit the EC2 pricing free tire, so you can see on demand. So you can see the pricing for this. For free tire, so Amazon EC2 is free to try. So here you can see that you get 750 hours of Amazon EC2 free of cost per month. and it includes T2.micro, T3.micro. So, and the region also is involved. So you can check the region, the for T2 micro, T3 micro in this region, in the region that you are trying to use. From Mumbai, it is available. So you can access it free of cost. Uh, so, and for IAM, creating roles, creating users, creating policies, there are no charges. Um, just for EC2 and S3, if you are in the free tier, be within these limits and they will not be charged. Uh, so monitoring and auditing comes under a service called uh, CloudTrail, which is the audit service of AWS. So we are not going to cover that service in this demo, but yeah, maybe in some future discussion we can cover, or you can take a look by yourself. Uh, it is known as AWS CloudTrail. So this is not only for IAM, this is for your whole account auditing. So you can audit your whole account. Okay. Okay. So going forward, so we have we did two things on uh, one destination account and another is in the source account. So in the destination account, we created a role with access to an S3 bucket. We also created an S3 bucket. And in the trusted identity, we provided the source account ID. Now in the source account, I also created one more role and I want to attach it to an EC2 instance. And I created a policy. The policy is a assume role policy, which will give me the privilege to assume the role on my destination account. Now I can use this role in the EC2 instance that I have. Sorry, I forgot to share my screen. So I attached the role to my EC2 instance, and you can see that the cross account role that I created just now in the source account, and this EC2 instance is also in the source account. I'm able to, I have this attached to my EC2 instance. So, I created a script, which is an AWS SDK script. So I can take you through that quickly. I'll share my VS Code screen. Sam, could you onboard it, please? Yeah, thank you. So this is a simple script that I created, which is using Boto 3. So Boto 3 is the Python library for AWS SDK. So I'm using Boto 3 and I'm using the assume role function. This is the assume role function, which requires a parameter, which is the role ARN and the session name. So I am providing the role ARN. So I'll update this role ARN with the role that I'm going to assume in the destination account. So I was assuming some role in the destination account from my source account. So I need to provide that same, the role that I'm assuming there. So I'll quickly update this role. This is a destination account role that I want to assume. And I'll also update the bucket name with the bucket that I created. So I'm providing this role ARN of destination account. I'm providing the bucket name that is in the destination account, and I'm calling the assume role. Now this script I'm going to run in my EC2 instance using Boto 3. We are calling the STS service, which is the security token service of AWS, which will give me temporary credentials to access the role in the destination account. See, it is providing me the access key ID, the secret access key, and the session token. So these three I'm getting to access the role in the destination account in a temporary manner. And I also have some logic to upload a file to S3 bucket and also to download a file. And the script will ask me for an input, which is the file name, and will ask me if I want to upload or download. So this is uh, this is the script, and we will I'll update in the server as well. Represent the server screen. Sam, could you onboard, please? Thank you. So I'll update this script. So you can see that I've updated this role in the destination account and this bucket. And I'm calling this assume role method by which I'm getting these credentials to access the role in the destination account. So, so let us run this. So let me first create some file I want to upload. So I've created this file. I want to upload this file onto my S3 bucket. And it's uploaded. So quickly share the screen of my destination account. And you can see that we have the file we just created, the file we uploaded. So now I have access to an S3 bucket in a different account. This can be any other account, and we follow the same process. And I can share the script as well to you, but it's a very simple script. You can get it. You can use ChatGPT to generate a similar script and just update the role ARN and the S3 bucket. So yeah, with the script, or if you have any other requirement, you can uh, use the STS to generate credentials, and use it in a script, and you can access resources in another bucket, in another account. So any questions you have, please? So MFA is multi-factor authentication. So if you're using username and password, you can set up some additional authentication beside the password. So you can have an authenticator. You can use that authenticator to provide some random code during your login that will help secure your account better. So it is kind of an additional authentication uh, that you have for your account or for your user. So you can have it for for your AWS account as well, for your root user access. You can have it, for example, for Slack. You can have it for the social media applications, or you can have it many places. So we have an additional layer of authentication besides just your password. Like for Google, also you can use them for login to Gmail. Yeah, so that is MFA. So that even if your password gets compromised, still your account won't be compromised because we have an additional layer of authentication. Yeah, MFA is absolutely required, and yes, it is good, and it is absolutely required as well, um, because your passwords can be compromised. So it is absolutely required to use MFA. Um, no, there is no cost for MFA. Um, there is no additional cost for MFA. So I've shared my LinkedIn ID, Sam. You can share it on YouTube as well. So anybody, if you're interested, to reach out to me personally for any other queries related to this, or if you try this demo, and if you get stuck somewhere and if you want some help, so please reach out to me directly, and please try the demo and let me know how was it for you. Thank you. Sam, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, okay, Bear. So we will be taking a 10 minutes of break so that you could use restrooms and all. You can have a break for 10 minutes, and then we will be joining for some other services and for some other additional learning out of it. So, okay. So, Bear, shall we take a break for 10 minutes? Is it okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, okay. Okay. So, hello, peoples. So, we would be due to short of time. So, Bhaiya have to leave, and we would be covering all other amazing services of our AWS. Would be in further few days. So, I'll be sharing few links with you in the chat section. So, I want you all to fill this to Google this feedback form, and we will be returning to you with amazing AWS services in few days. So, let me share those links with you. Just a second. So these two feedbacks form I want you all to fill, and so that we could get a clear idea like what the event is going on and how you people are liking it and what the thing really goes on. So I want you all to fill this, and we will be meeting you with another great session of any AWS great service. So see you